This is a quite nice thing that I bought quite recently. So it's a Bluetooth speaker, and basically it's been sent all the way here from China for about £12, which seems exceptional value because it's got a case. So it's got an acrylic case, so you peel this stuff off here, it becomes like a see-through case. It's got a couple of very nice looking speakers. You can see they're not that big, that's only 4 or 5 centimeters across, something like that, but they look really sort of chunky and good. And let's have a look in the bag here where all the components are. So what's in here? We've got the Bluetooth module itself. We'll just look at it in a second. Some instructions. Excellent. Oh, a remote control. There's a USB cable there. A few little 2-pole connectors, which are matching the things that have to be plugged into on the Bluetooth module. And this part here is nothing to do with audio really. This is like a display board that you put some LEDs on. So we can look at the schematic of this to see what it's actually doing. So you'll see it's based around around this 4017 chip. Now I've built 4017 display kits before. If you haven't seen that, I'll link the video up below. So I linked several of these together to make a sort of animated LED display. So the 4017 is a 1 out of 10 decoder. So basically it lights all of these LEDs one after another, and then it circles round again. So what this is doing here, so we've got a microphone down here, and this is a 1-stage amplifier. So a single NPN transistor is amplifying the signal from the mic. You can see the mic is one of these condenser, little PCB mounting condenser mics. So the signal gets boosted up, and this at the collector here we've got the output of the amplifier, and that's going into one of the pins of the 4017. And if we look at the datasheet for the 4017, we can see that pin on that side is actually the clock. So that's the clock input. Although the 4017 is a digital logic chip, actually CMOS are very tolerant to different types of signals, and this will be a somewhat sort of lumpy analog type signal, but that will be good enough for the CMOS to see that as a clock pulse. So what I expect to see is that whenever there's a loud sound, then you'll get this jumping to the next LED and then the next, and so this will kind of be an animated display somewhat in time with the music. So so this is the only part of the kit that actually needs to be assembled and soldered and so on. It's just mounting the components on this board, so that won't take very long, and then it's just a question of plumbing it into the Bluetooth module here. And if we look at the Bluetooth module, this is nice. It's all self-contained. Oh, there's a resistor stuck in there. So it's all self-contained, and you see this is all pre-assembled. So there's nothing for us to do here. But you can see there's one of these circuit board-based antennae here. So the Bluetooth antenna is just part of the PCB. It's just the silvering on the PCB. And then we have a chip here, which will be the MP3 player. There'll be another one that's the Bluetooth receiver, or maybe the Bluetooth receiver is integrated. Sometimes they do that. And there'll also be an amplifier, because this is also, it's got a 3 watt per channel digital amplifier built into it, so a Class D amplifier, which is what directly drives these speakers. What else can we see? There's an infrared sensor there, so that's the receiver for the remote control that we just unpacked, and it has a USB port, so this is where you plug in a flash drive. So if you've got some MP3 files on a flash drive, you can plug them in here and they'll be read and played out over the amplifier. So there's no controls on here at all. Everything's going to be done with the remote, and I'll need to dig out a battery to go in there. What does that need? It says 2025, CR2025. I don't know if I've got one of those, so I may have to go out to the shop and get one of those. So I'll get the soldering iron out and put some components in this board. I've started to mount the components on here now, so I've got the capacitors and the transistor, the microphone, resistors, and there's a couple of wire links in there that need to be put in. Strangely, there's a couple of capacitors, largish values, so it's 470 microfarad, which are not used, so I've got some bonus components there. Looking at the LEDs, so these are 3mm LEDs, and they're blue. The holes in the case for them are about 4mm, so it's not, you know, like a friction fit for these 3mm components, but it's also not big enough for the bigger LEDs. So I was thinking about putting bigger ones in there, but they, you know, they don't fit through the holes either. So these are just going to kind of perch in the holes somehow. So looking at how that measures up, if I put the board here over these mounting holes, because it's got some holes for screws to go in to put this in the, fix it into the case, and if I just put the LEDs over the LED over the top like that, so I don't need much length here to get this to perch in the hole. You see this this cutaway here is where the case will plug into. So if I have them like this just inside the edge of the board, then they should be kind of engaged in the hole but not pushing all the way through. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to bend them all to that shape, I think, and mount them like that. Okay, so I've got all the LEDs in place now, and I soldered the chip in as well. So now we need to put some wires in to power it up. So the way that this seems to work is we've got a power lead here which goes from this board and then plugs into the little Bluetooth module, and then coming in, so we have this USB lead, so the USB power comes in through the back, and we have a switch, so the red gets switched through there, and then the red from the other side comes down to the board, so we've got a switched USB powering this board. So what I need to do first of all is I need to lead the power in through this hole here. I presume that's the power hole because this is obviously for the switch here, so I can mount the switch in there. So it needs to come in through the hole, and then I'll strip this back so I've got a longer black available to go to the board. But I was thinking it probably needs a little loop in here so that we've got a, you know, stress relief. So if I put a loop in like this, and then I can put a tie wrap on it. And then it's going to be impossible to pull it back through the hole. So I'll bear a bit more wire here. So there we go. So the black is going to go straight to the board and the red is going to go to the switch. So let me solder that up. Looking at the board, it wasn't clear to me which one of these is positive and which is negative. So you've obviously got these double strips here so that you can connect these wires to one set of holes, and then you've got the little extra lead that goes to the Bluetooth module, but it's not marked plus or minus, so I think I need to buzz it out. So I know that on the chip this should be the positive, so that's the positive up there, and then the negative is the bottom left. So that gives me my reference for positive, so I can buzz that one out. Let's just put the multimeter on it. That one. Right, so that left one should be positive. And I can just check that this is negative also. So I'd need to find something. I mean, looking at the circuit diagram, you can see that the transistor, the emitter on the transistor and the mic are both connected to ground. So there's the mic there. That's its 2 pins, so we should be able to find a negative on there. Yep, so that's the negative. The negative's this rail running down the outside of the board, so that is indeed the negative. So I can solder the wires in. Right, so we've got the wiring in now, and so let's power it on, see what happens. I've got a little power brick here. Switch it on. Okay, so I've got lights. So you see when I hit the microphone, that clocks the LEDs. So in theory, you know, if you're playing some beats along, it should jump whenever the microphone hears a beat. So we'll have to see how that looks when the whole thing is assembled. I'm just going to peel all of the paper off the Perspex case here, the acrylic. And then it'll be a clear case. So that sort of effect. It'll take me a few minutes to do that. Starting to put the case together now. So I've screwed this LED board down using a couple of the shorter screws. So there's 4 long screws, which I think are for these standoffs, and the smaller screws I think are for everything else. So I've put a couple of smaller screws in there to hold that onto the case. You'll see that I've also put these long standoffs, which I think are to give some strength and rigidity to the case, because those fit through the top holes as well. So it's kind of keeping tension between the top and the bottom. And then the end pieces also need some screws, 4 screws each, to mount the speakers. So it's just a question of finding which way around all of these things go now. Oh, the front panel. So the front panel, I put that tab in here, and the LEDs slightly poke into those holes. The fit's not bad, but in any case it doesn't really matter whether they're through the holes or not, because the case is clear, so you can see the LEDs anyway. So what else? Oh yes, so the Bluetooth module. Obviously the Bluetooth module needs to poke through this hole here, and again there's a couple of screws to get in there to mount that. It's a shame these stick up actually, because it means that you have to bend all of the leads over in order to make them reach out to the speakers either side, and the power jack needs to bend over as well. It would be better if they were coming in the bottom, wouldn't it? Anyway, let me put some screws in. Right, that was a bit fiddly holding all of those tabs in place to get this assembled, but now I've got everything locked in place. Got those 2 screws on the standoffs, so that's all held firmly in place now. So let's plug it in. Okay, so we've got the blue LEDs. Oh, it's making a funny noise. Oh, I think maybe the power brick is not able to provide enough current. Let's see, do I have one that's better charged? It says, you know, in the build instructions, it says it takes 1.5 to 2 amps, which is a lot for USB. All right, that one's the same. I think that's. So I think these are not really strong enough to provide the current for this. If it's going to draw 1.5 amps, but I do have a big charger just over here. I might have to find a USB extension cable so I can plug it in. Alright, I've got an extension, so plugging that in. Oh no, that doesn't seem good, does it? I might have to try the MP3 player on its own. See if there's some unwanted interaction between this LED board and the MP3. Okay, so I've just tacked a couple of wires onto the bottom of the connector there because I didn't have another power connector of that type. I've got the speakers plugged in again, and I've got it connected to my bench power supply, which is set to 4.5 volts. So let's see what happens.
It started. Please connect.
Okay, so that made a noise, didn't it? Let me just switch that off and on again.
It started. Please connect.
Couldn't quite make that sound out, but let's see if I can connect from my phone. Right, so I can see this YM069, maybe this is the Bluetooth. Maybe not. Oh, here we go.
Connecting. Okay.
Okay. So we're connected.
All cause for alarm, if such thought ever existed, is now totally unjustified. No, it's nothing but a shadow. So, well, wait, that wasn't a shadow.
I think I might need some more power. Let me turn up the current.
It started. Please connect. Connecting is okay.
Okay. Alright, so that seems to be working. So obviously that problem I had, it sounded like it was going into oscillation. So I wonder if that's why there are these spare capacitors in the kit. Perhaps I should solder one of these across the power rails and see if that gets rid of the problem. I noticed I did have a wiring problem here actually, because I had the power lead I had plugged into the speaker lead, so that's probably got something to do with the problem. But in any case, I put one of the big caps across the power rail here. So let's try it once again.
Bluetooth is started. Please connect. Connecting is okay.
Okay, so that's actually much better, isn't it? Let's just try and plug that in again. Right. Let's put the music on.
This time we take you to Washington for a special broadcast on the national emergency. Enemy tripod machines now in sight. Enemy tripod machines now in sight.
Right, that stopped for some reason. So I must have hit the pause. Okay, so that's working. So the sound's okay from this actually, and you see when it's loud, the LEDs were moving. There it goes there, animated by the music.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have a grave announcement to make. Those strange beings who landed in the Jersey farmlands tonight are the vanguard of an invading army from the planet Mars.
So there's also the remote control. So I noticed there's a little tab in here. So actually, this does appear to have a battery in it after all. So if I can open that up. Oh, it's very difficult. There we go. So it does have a battery in it. So that's the CR1220. Well, it seems you can put a bigger one in as well. So there's like a bigger slot there. Anyway, that'll do. So let's see if I can control it from here. Oh, I can. That's the volume. See if we can go next track. Yep. Previous track.
This time we take you to Washington for a special broadcast on the national emergency.
Okay, so I think that's a success. So all that remains is to get the top back on the case, and then we have a working MP3 player. So I think that's pretty good value. I mean, I paid, it was about £12 for this, including shipping all the way from China. This was on Aliexpress. And I looked at it when I looked at it yesterday. It's actually a little cheaper than that now. It's about £10, including postage. So I think that's a good thing. I mean, often you can't get, you know, I mean, MP3 players can be, you know, 20 quid or more. This has got reasonably good speakers in it. It's not that much effort as a kit and quite fun to put together, so I would recommend that. So if you use it with a really big power brick, so I've got a much chunkier power brick out of the cupboard here, it does seem to work better than those small, well, those were actually Poundland units, so I guess I shouldn't be terribly surprised that they don't work very well.
Bluetooth is started. Please connect. Connecting is okay.
There you go. With a decent power source, it's actually okay.